Welcome to the small, quaint town of Ware, New Hampshire. Birds whistling, spring winds blowing, and oh, look! Let's talk to this dashing young lad, shall we? Hey, kid!
Holy mackerel, mister! You scared the jeepers out of me.
Here lives Terry, a boy of about 12 years old on the cusp of manhood. Just look at that smile. Say, how would you like to learn about Keynes economics?
Boy, would I!
Whoa there! Slow down, mister. No one likes a suck-up. Now let's get started. Now here we find little Terry, his father, and his mother. Now let's pretend your mother has a job.
Gee, that's crazy talk.
Oh, Terry, so cute at that age. Alright, so let's pretend this month your father came home with a mighty big paycheck. This paycheck is his form of income, and when this income is quite big, the nation is well off. Let's take a glance at what that would look like.
Dad! Gee, this sure is dandy.
Yes it is. Now we will look at the result of a low income. Look at you now, Terry. Just a boy of 12, homeless.
This f***ing sucks.
Now, Terry, let's learn about the flow of income. This is when money is transferred from hand to hand. When we make a purchase, we transfer our income into someone else's hand, and our income comes from the money that others have spent.
Gee, that sure sounds complicated.
Alright then, think of it like this. Your parents give you money for allowance. The flow of economics comes in when you make a purchase with this allowance because you're putting your income into another hand. Now, go take that allowance and get yourself a lollipop.
Gee, that sure sounds swell. Gee, these are super delicious. I'm gonna buy 1 billion lollipops.
Wow, you're one step ahead of me. When you purchase an extensive amount of lollipops, your investment expands the business. But if you save your money all up, you cut off the circular flow of income. Keynes had a theory of a seesaw to explain an economic depression. The seesaw represents the balance between savings and investments. Say, why don't you hop on over on that seesaw?
Sure, mister.
Let's say Terry's side represents investments and his mother's, who should be preparing dinner, represents savings. With interest rates as the balance point, the seesaw maintains an equal balance between savings and investments. But this model is inaccurate because economies cannot balance themselves out. Savings are far more influenced by the income than interest rates, much like an elevator. An economy can stay on any level until the right button is pushed to change the health of an enterprise. Now, Terry, who do you think is responsible for this bridge?
Well, the men of America, of course.
Well, you're partially right, Terry. The government funded the building of these bridges and projects like this to bolster the nation's buying power, thus priming the pump.
Gee, that's super!
So, Terry, say you find $1 on the street.
Found one.
Now, if you decide to spend this $1, your spending of the $1 is an expenditure for you and an income for whoever you trade it with. So, the person you trade it with will eventually spend that whole $1 on another business, which then becomes the income for that business. So now this $1 has purchased $2 worth of goods.
Nifty!
Alright, Terry. Now the last thing we are going to talk about is the problem of inflation. And here to talk about this with us is...
Gee willikers, John Maynard Keynes!
That's right, Terry. Now, the problem with inflation is when there's too much investment and too many incomes being handed out from an excess of jobs. This creates inflation where too much money is being supplied for these jobs.
Wow, I totally understand that.
Well, I'm glad you learned something today, Terry. And I hope all the listeners out there did as well. Now you have an adequate understanding of Keynes economics, and I wish you a merry day.